Joining us now with stories trending around the world is OjyOkpe. Good morning.
Oh, well, I didn't know what to say.
Oh, you forgot yourself.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
I'm fine.
Perfect. Good morning, Ayo. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great.
Thank you for all the encouragement in my life. You know you're a superwoman.
I'm very proud of you, and you did well. Well done.
Thank you. Bimba, this is a woman that did well. She did
What
very
did I
well
do?
yesterday. Thank you for hosting Aaron's event yesterday. He did such a moderating the panel. Thank you for that. And congratulations to Aaron Akerejola, who hosted a phenomenal sports conference yesterday in Ikoyi. It was phenomenal. Good job, Aaron. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending with an update from the presidency, announcing that the United States government has indicated their commitment to strengthening its fight against terrorism in Nigeria. The announcement came in a statement posted on X by presidential advisor Bayo Ononuga, who stated that the Nigerian security delegation led by the National Security Advisor, Ekweremadu, met with various U.S. officials to strengthen security cooperation, secure enhanced intelligence and defense support, refute allegations of genocide in Nigeria, and agree on a new cooperation framework to protect citizens. And I'll take Bayo Ononuga's post on X in part. He wrote, "In all engagements in Washington, D.C., Nigerian delegation refuted allegations of genocide in Nigeria, emphasizing that violent attacks affect families and communities across religious and ethnic lines. The delegation strongly rejected wrongful framing of the situation, saying such would only divide Nigerians and distort the realities on the ground." Following these engagements, the United States government affirmed its readiness to deepen security cooperation with Nigeria. This includes enhanced intelligence support, expedited processing of defense equipment requests, and the potential provision of excess defense articles that's subject to availability to reinforce ongoing operations against terrorist and violent extremist groups. In addition, Bayo Ononuga stated that the United States government also expressed willingness to extend humanitarian assistance to impacted populations in the Middle Belt, especially, as well as offer technical support to ensure the mechanisms around early community warnings are strengthened. And this is a sort of collaboration that I have been looking for. It's great to see that, this conversation is going even beyond detail, providing technical assistance and, concentrating on the Middle Belt, which is really where the Christian killings have occurred for decades. Meanwhile, the assistant to the U.S. Secretary of War for Public Affairs, Sean Parnell, published a readout of the landmark meeting between U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Nigeria's National Security Advisor, Ekweremadu, in which he stated that both countries discussed ways to make tangible progress on stopping violence against Christians in Nigeria and combating West African jihadist terrorist groups. During the meeting, Hegseth emphasized the need for Nigeria to take urgent action to stop violence against Christians, adding that the department is open to work with Nigeria to deter terrorists that threaten the United States. I'm happy that it's not just from Bayo Ononuga that we are hearing the report. We got a readout from the Department of War. The collaboration is starting, like I told you, Ayo. When we first took the story where the Nigerian delegation went to meet with, the man leading the investigation in Congress, Riley Moore.
Yes.
I said that this is, the beginning of the conversation for the collaboration that we really need to tackle insecurity. However, we're seeing, pockets of, reports of insecurity, insurgency. Yesterday, there was fake news from my town, Kwale, that we saw that they said something about, the Fulani herders terrorizing the young girls, but it wasn't true. The Delta State Police Command debunked that news, that it is not true. But it's either we are hearing that these are pockets of violence or there are real violence still happening in Nigeria. However, in Nasarawa State, a video that made the rounds on social media overnight showed panic and chaos in Agboda village community after a church crusade was allegedly disrupted by terrorist headsmen. In the video dated yesterday, Monday, November 24th, families with young children are seen running as a man recalls the moment the crusade was disrupted. Let's take a look.
We came for a crusade here, live in Africa, in Nasarawa State. And live as I'm talking to you, you can see up now in the village, because headsmen, someone that was coming back from the farm. Just
came in for a crusade in this community today. Look at what it means.
Up there, as you can see, and see the way people are moving. Come. You can see the youth, everybody is on rest just for the sake of headsmen right here in Nasarawa State. A serious program in this community.
Dr. Bati, we're yet to get an official statement from the state government in Nasarawa State. And despite moves being made by the federal government to get, a handle on insecurity and terrorism, videos like this show just how fearful and uneasy communities across the country are feeling right now. Arise News has not independently verified that video, but it has gone viral. I thought it was important to highlight it, also to hear from the Nasarawa State government. We did see the video of this young man even preparing to go for this crusade, only to have this video of the charade that occurred last night.
A quick assessment of the trip to the United States would inform us that it was a successful trip.
Yes.
Against the background of the diplomatic tension that has been caused by the redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. The Nigerian delegation eventually met with the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who is in a position to take this to the highest levels within the U.S. It also shows that, in spite of everything, the bilateral relations between Nigeria and the United States is alive and well, and there are opportunities for further consultation and collaboration. Now, Nigeria has very strong relationship with the U.S. in the area of trade, security, economic growth, education. And this has been a long-standing relationship. So reaching out to the Americans means, of course, that there are, new pathways. But this idea of cooperation and collaboration and intelligence sharing, it's not as straightforward. There will be modalities that have to be worked out. There will be trade-offs. I just hope that the Nigerian administration will have the capacity to measure up, because oftentimes we hold these meetings, we lack the capacity to follow up and to follow through. And in this particular case, where security is involved, I hope that everybody will be attentive enough to know that it's not something you joke with, since Trump says we tend to see everything as a joke in Nigeria. The second point is to say that the incident in Ndokwa Nation, I think your nation is Ndokwa.
Yes, Ukwane. My mother is from Ndokwa.
Because I had one man.
Kwale. That's where my mother is from.
Okay.
Kwale.
But the man was talking about Ndokwa Nation.
Ndokwa. Kwale is in Ndokwa.
Okay.
It's like a little town within the Ndokwa community.
In any case,
yes.
What he says, what the Commissioner of Police in Delta State, his name is Abaniwanda, Commissioner of Police Abaniwanda. And in this particular case, the literal meaning of his name will seem to apply. That this was a case of misinformation. No, that people were just scaremongering.
Sorry, can I ask you?
That it didn't happen.
Who told you the meaning of his name?
Abaniwanda?
Yes.
It means that, they are just guessing. They are imagining things. That there was no attack.
Right. Yes.
These were students who just saw some Fulani people and they started panicking.
No, they said that that's how they actually go back home. That it's just someone who was trying to be mischievous.
Yes.
Was it even anything?
So what the Nigerian government needs to do, either in Kwale or in Nasarawa, is to continue to educate the people so that we don't have a rampaging culture of fear. Because if you were to go into that street now and you say, they are coming, you will see everybody will take to their heels.
This is not funny, but I mean, yes.
That is the climate of fear that we have established.
Absolutely.
With our missions in this country. Nobody will ask who are the day.
Yes.
Nobody is going to wait. Everybody will move.
But speaking about fear, meanwhile, former Lagos State governorship candidate Gbadebo Rose Vival is calling on the federal government to license firearms for citizens to defend themselves against terrorists due to the government's failure to secure the country. Speaking on live television, the politician cited recent abduction in Kwara and Ogun states over the weekend, saying that insecurity has spread beyond the north to other parts of the country, adding that it will be wicked to ask citizens to remain helpless when the government has failed to provide security. Let's take a look.
It is wickedness to ask people to just remain helpless when the government fails them. How many people have to die before we understand this fact has to become a reality? Until the government steps up. I'm talking about this situation now because of the failure of government that we found ourselves in, right? And in this failure, if the government cannot sit up, then they start considering licensing firearms. But then you now ask yourself, if the same government is withdrawing protection from people before terrorists come in, will they license firearms?
By calling for citizens to be licensed to carry firearms has been a long-time debate. Some say it's a radical proposal that will either be seen as a desperate cry for self-preservation or a recipe for total chaos. I mean, this is not the first time that we've, seen this debate online or even Nigerians talking. I believe there was even a bill by Ned Nwoko that, he tried to push. But you can't really blame anyone calling to protect themselves at this point. We have even seen videos, if you can pull some of those videos, of priests carrying guns that have been trending on social media all along. Your thoughts on the story? These are the videos we're seeing of these priests, even in church, carrying guns.
We find ourselves in such a complex place,
yes.
Oji, because what do you expect people to do in this type of climate? Is that the natural human instinct of self-preservation kicks in and people want to resort to self-help. But unfortunately, when it comes to self-help, we've seen time and time again that it generally does lead to a state of anarchy. But in this moment, we say, okay, the state is not doing its duty. So the people are saying, well, we can't just be exposed. So the state has to step in. This is what we've been calling for consistently, and we can't relent in continuing to call for that. Because let's remind ourselves that one of the reasons why we are in this predicament is because it is just a brazen institutional weakness.
Yes.
Now, how many people actually update their driver's license regularly? And how often is it checked? And how authentic is it? If you look across the country, driver's license, right? Now, how are we now going to regulate gun licenses? And how are we going to ensure that, people truly are abiding by it? How are we going to bypass the corruption? So institutions first have to be addressed. And this is, I'm just consistent about this point, that the real fundamental issues, we can't take Panadol for this kind of ailment, unfortunately. So yes, if all things are equal, I think it's fair to say people should have the right to carry firearms. But unfortunately, all things are not equal, and we don't want a situation where the same people that we are accusing of orchestrating and being perpetuators of these things, their arguments that these people are funded by powerful people. Are we sure we want those same powerful people to now have legal licenses to also access firearms? Because remember, as much as innocent citizens will have access to it, also those with malicious intent will also have access. So many things. Are we going to do mental health checks before granting licenses? This gun licenses, it's a huge topic,
it is.
On its own.
It's such a huge topic that I wish that everyone can...
They are behaving like they are in a psychotic state.
They don't have guns.
If you give them guns freely, then you'll be opening the gate to hell.
But you know that most of the
gun control.
What about that most of the gun violence that has been perpetrated by people in America, people that have been unwell. A lot of them are not normal. Those that the gun violence.
That we have many people who are unwell walking on the streets right now, of Lagos and Nigeria that are not sure.
Right.
Didn't you say that even our political leaders should all undergo psychological tests? Because we are not yet mature for that. Please, for those who are advocating for that, it's an abdication of responsibility of the government to do what they're supposed to do. Rather than emphasize licensing guns, let's use that same energy to push for the government to do what they're supposed to do.
Yes,
we can
but also the conversation about even these terrorists that have access, the proliferation of arms, firearms. This is the biggest problem that we have in Nigeria. How are these people able to have their hands on the guns and we're not able to? Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll continue on the conversation.
Even without guns,
so you don't own a gun? You don't own a firearm?
What will
I thought you had one.
I'm covered by the blood of
Amen. In traffic, people will be angry and bring out a gun.
That's what happens in America. That's
please,
really that's one of the biggest issues in America. The gun control and gun violence. We'll take another story now. Following the court ruling that jailed the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, for life, Senator representing Abia North, OjyOkpe, has urged Igbos to stop being emotional over the sentencing, but instead pursue a political solution to secure his release. Speaking on live television, the former Abia State governor said separatist agitations linked to the IPOB leader have claimed over 30,000 lives and ruined livelihoods across the southeast. Kalu defended James Omotosho, who convicted Kanu last week, saying criticisms of the verdict were misplaced and that the judge was simply doing his job. Let's take a look.
When we focus solely on Nnamdi Kanu, we have to solve this problem holistically. Because there are over 30,000 Igbos that were killed. People that have their shop had no shops. People lost their businesses. There are over 30-something thousand Igbos that were killed in this process, and nobody talks about them. The court never mentioned about people that lost their business and run away from their villages. It's not something, don't let me to go emotional here, because it's not something anybody can discuss. A lot of Igbos were killed, Sean. A lot of Igbos were killed. If you don't know it today. Let Igbos stop being emotional. I want us to settle down and go on our knees and find a way that the man can be released. You cannot rant up in a court of competent jurisdiction. I take exception to it. People might say it's good. Justice Omotosho is just a messenger of the court. And he did his job. If you are displeased, you go to appellate court. It's not to start insulting the man. What we should start looking now, the kind of people are going to appellate court, and we are using the political sides to solve the problem. Because this is the area I know. I'll be contacting the Attorney General to advise the President, to advise people who are concerned on how we solve this problem.
Well, OjyOkpe's message is clear. Stop the noise and start negotiating. But will Kalu's political approach gain traction in the southeast, or will he be seen as selling out the IPOB cause? Well, in another development, the government of the United Kingdom has rejected the federal government's request to transfer former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu to Nigeria to complete his prison sentence for organ trafficking. Ekweremadu is currently serving 9 years and 8 months in a UK prison after being convicted in March 2023 for conspiring to exploit a young man's kidney. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had sent a high-level delegation comprising Foreign Affairs Minister Yusuf Tuga and Attorney General Lateef Fagbemi to London earlier this month to negotiate his transfer. However, the UK Guardian, quoting an unnamed Ministry of Justice official, reported that the request was rejected over concerns that Nigeria could offer no guarantees that Ekweremadu would continue his prison sentence after being deported, generating mixed reactions. And I'll take one, Ayo, before I come to you. ISIP wrote on X, this whole Ekweremadu issue just exposing how broken our system has become. How can the federal government even request that he completes his sentence here when we still struggle to enforce basic justice at home? The United Kingdom refusing isn't the real headline. The real headline is how little confidence other nations have in our institutions. Until we fix our justice system, rebuild trust, and end the policy failures that have weakened the country under this government, we'll keep facing this kind of international embarrassment. Nigeria needs leadership that restores credibility, not more shortcuts. Well, the United Kingdom's rejection is a major diplomatic setback for Nigeria. They're concerned that Ekweremadu might not complete his sentence if transferred speaks volumes about international perception of our criminal justice system. I'll reiterate again that this report is from an unnamed official from the Ministry of Justice in the United Kingdom. I hope that it's 100% credible. If it is, That's the reaction out there. What our perception in the global stage.
So I said this earlier that this is an indication that there's a trust deficit, not just with the Nigerian people and the criminal justice system, because I often refer to all eyes on the judiciary at the time when it was trending. And if you asked a number of people in Nigeria as to the criminal justice system, if you even look at the Nnamdi Kanu case, that's one of the issues that we have there, the trust in the justice system. Because in any sane country, what OjyOkpe said he made a lot of sense there. And what the Nigerian government did by its lack of the deficit of trust in the criminal justice system was that people don't trust the government to be fair and just in the dispensation of justice. That's just what it says. And the UK has just alluded to that fact by almost a diplomatic slap on our face by saying that we don't have the capacity to guarantee that someone who's been convicted in the United Kingdom would come home to Nigeria and face the full wrath of the law. Let me give you an example. Recently, there was a whole ruckus around the president's pardon list. Remember that? And where some characters on that list were questionable, especially those who were convicted of crimes around terrorism, crimes around drug-related offenses. And people asked that what was the prerogative of mercy in that regard based on the gravity of the offense. Now, what we fail to recognize is that with all these things happening, it's not just Nigerians who have a say. The international world is watching. The world is a global village. And so when a nation like the United Kingdom does not have the confidence enough in our justice system to ensure that someone who's been convicted because of his political influence would face his full sentence, that's a problem. We need to fix our problems internally. Instead of propaganda around, let us keep a good face, let us talk about us well, let us fix our problem. Let us fix our institutions. Let us respect the rule of law in Nigeria. Let us not cherry pick on which order to obey and respect and which not to obey and respect. It's what's happened in the Nnamdi Kanu situation that's made him a hero. And unintentionally, this government have made him a hero. Because truthfully, if you listen to the calls of Nnamdi Kanu, a number of them incited terrorism and mayhem. It was he that ordered the sit-at-home order in the East. And this is what we see, the loss of economic activities in that area. People are not thinking of this. What they are looking at is that it is unfair. And it's not just unfair to the man alone, to an entire region. And that's why I agree that I hope that a political solution will be given to this particular matter, even though, unfortunately, based on his records and antecedents, he ought to have been made to face the full wrath of the law based on the number of lives and businesses and people that he affected and the things that he said. But because of our justice system, where they ignored court rulings based on Nnamdi Kanu, his bail, his compensation, people just see it as injustice, injustice, injustice. And that's why we keep on speaking. Let us raise strong institutions. Let us obey the rule of law. Let us ensure that not just internally, but internationally, we can stand strong as a people that respects its criminal justice system.
Well said, Ayo. Very well so.
Prisoners is at the prerogative of the holding country.
All right.
So you can't just say you are sending a delegation. It's entirely at their discretion.
At their discretion, correct.
Number two is that, look, the prison system in Nigeria is also very suspect. This was the first test case for the Modern Slavery Act. Right. The first case to be tried and determined under that law. UK Guardian was reporting yesterday that they are apprehensive about what would happen. But, you know, this is a case about family, about parents trying to do something for their children. There's also a family dimension. But I believe that in the fullness of time, former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu will regain his freedom.
We're yet to receive an official report from the Ministry of Justice in the United Kingdom, so I'm restating that point again. So we'll follow up on the story once we have an official report on the story. Well, it can't be doom and gloom, right? We'll take our good news report now, highlighting the Director General of the State Security Service, Oluwatosin Adiola Ajayi, who has authorized the release and compensation of Kenneth Okechukwu Nwafo, who was wrongfully arrested in July 2022 over alleged links to the indigenous peoples of Biafra. Nwafo, a native of Insecurity local government area in Abia State, was not only released but also awarded 5 million naira as compensation for his wrongful arrest, along with free medical care. Credible sources within the service revealed that a thorough investigation by the DSS personnel exonerated Nwafo, confirming that he had no involvement with IPOB. His release and compensation are part of a wider review of pending cases initiated by the Director General to ensure due process and prompt justice. 3 other Abia men suspected of IPOB affiliation were similarly released under this policy. The gesture underscores the DG's commitment to the rule of law and adherence to DSS standard operating procedures, recognizing that errors sometimes occur and believing making amends to foster a culture of accountability within the service. This comes barely a month after the DSS released and compensated an Abuja-based businessman for his detention over alleged illegal oil bunkering. This is the kind of accountability Nigerians want to see from security agencies admitting mistakes and making amends. The DSS, under DG Ajayi's leadership, has released several wrongfully detained individuals and even doubled a compensation payment from 10 million naira to 20 million naira for a just businessman mistakenly shot during a security operation. This set a powerful precedent. Justice delayed may be justice denied, but justice corrected is justice restored. I must congratulate Adeola Ajayi, the DSS DG, since he came. I mean, I believe we took the story of the just businessman who was wrongfully shot and was given compensation. I love the fact that people are able to admit to mistakes and then come out and say it and then compensate. Really, I mean, it's not unusual for mistakes to happen, but accountability is really what you see. Yes.
The first one is leadership. Now, you must have had stories in the past of persons who have been detained either by the DSS or the police, and they will be forgotten there.
Yes.
They could be there for years. In fact, there are waiting trial persons in this country, in many of the holding cells, who are still there. And that's where your point about justice being delayed. But it takes leadership.
Yes.
It takes an individual to make a difference. So Mr. Tosin Ajayi takes over the Department of State Services, and he says, let's review the cases. Let's see who is being unduly detained. And then he provides compensation. Now, 5 million naira, it's not about the money, it's about the intent, may not compensate for 3 years that particular gentleman has lost. 3 other persons were also released for being wrongfully detained. Imagine the trauma that their families and associates must have gone through. So the issue here is that investigation doesn't need to take up to 3 years.
This is it.
When either the police or the other security agencies arrest somebody, the investigation should have been done. You don't go and pick people and you say you are doing investigation and the investigation goes on for 3 years, 5 years. That in itself is a miscarriage of justice because the justice administration system begins from the point of apprehension till whenever the case is hard. But we see the DSS showing good example, and I think other agencies of
should follow suit.
Should learn from the example of the DSS, the police in particular.
In one sentence, I think we're seeing the difference of DSS being headed by an officer as opposed to a political appointee, a former security officer himself, as opposed to a political appointee. And I hope this is a culture that can be maintained.
I like that point. He authorized the release, and it was beautiful to see. Congratulations.
And the man that Ajayi succeeded was also an officer, a retired officer. So it's about the individual.
It's really
and the
about
kind of leadership you bring.
Leadership. Please, we need more good news reports like this from our security forces. Congratulations to Tosin Ajayi. Now to politics. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has formally registered his membership with the African Democratic Congress, officially leaving the People's Democratic Party after decades. The 78-year-old politician, who was the PDP standard bearer in the 2023 election, had resigned from the party in July, accusing it of straying from its founding ideals. His move to the ADC comes after opposition leaders agreed to adopt the party as the platform to challenge the ruling All Progressives Congress in the 2027 general election. Atiku registered and collected his membership card in Adamawa State on Monday. All right, well, Atiku is officially back in opposition mode. Now, with the ADC preparing for his 7th presidential bid, will the ADC build a formidable party that can defeat the APC in 2027? That's the question that is out there. I mean, we have seen that this is the 7th time Atiku is, positioning himself to become president of Nigeria. Meanwhile, a video reportedly showing former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's convoy arriving in his hometown of Jada, Adamawa State, has been making the rounds on social media, generating mixed reactions. Let's take a look.
Then no fit touch my energy. If I no get money, not disability. So forget me, my shy blocking. My lost out, ready for one cow. I back me a cow. My updates go late cow. One bow. Take them to your cow.
All right. Well, some Nigerians reacting to the video online say that since he's a private citizen, he can do as he pleases as long as he's not using public funds, while others question his security detail, wondering if he's entitled to police escorts as a former vice president of Nigeria, especially just days after President Tinubu ordered the withdrawal of police from VIP duties. Dr. Bati will answer that, whether he's, entitled to that. Meanwhile, the African Democratic Congress has dismissed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's order to withdraw police officers from very important personalities as a political gesture that does not address Nigeria's escalating security crisis. ADC's National Publicity Secretary, in a statement on Monday, described the move as grandstanding that reflects poor understanding of the nation's security challenges. Abdullahi said the decision was not new, noting that similar announcements had been made twice in 2025 by the Inspector General of Police. The party went further to state that the latest order makes for good headlines, but failed to confront the complexity of terrorism, banditry, mass abduction, and violent crimes across the country. Well, ADC is calling out what many Nigerians suspect, that this is all optics. If the IGP had already made this announcement twice this year with no visible impact, what makes the third time from the president any different? Dr. Abati.
Okay, first, this is the first time that a sitting president will give that order, that withdraw police from VIPs because of the security situation in the country. We need more boots on the field who are doing serious police work. Additionally, he said, okay, recruit 30,000 more. We have said we need more than that. So, in the past, Inspector Generals of Police have threatened to withdraw. Nothing happened. Inspector Generals of Police in the past have threatened to withdraw, to stop police checkpoints. Those police checkpoints are still there. But this time, it's the head of state, the head of government himself, that is giving the order. And I've seen a statement issued by the Nigerian police in Lagos, Protect 16, they call themselves, in Lagos, directing all the people in what they call SPU base to report back to station to do normal police work and start carrying bags for madams of important people. As for former vice president,
Atiku and his convoy,
there are persons of interest, traditional rulers, former presidents, former governors, former VIPs. They have a list, former vice presidents who are entitled to state protection.
Okay, are you guys
Not
listening?
necessarily because they are VIPs, but because of the position that they have occupied. And they do it also elsewhere.
If you go to the US, they wouldn't withdraw this detail.
No. For certain categories of persons, they may not withdraw. Right. But we don't know the details. The president just gave a directive. They will subsequently work out the details. After all, there are people who have even DSS security details. So there are categories. They will withdraw some, they will leave some for just maybe a few.
All right.
Persons.
But we're all calling. We need more boots on ground to tackle our insecurity issues. Congratulations to Adamawa Waziri Atiku Abubakar for collecting his ADC card. Meanwhile,
one to add to his collection.
What did you say?
I said another one to add to his collection.
Another one. This is the 7th time, right? All right.
Well, he loves Nigeria so much.
He does.
He's determined to lead
Nigeria.
And it's a legitimate
absolutely, absolutely. Meanwhile, celebrations are in order as today marks the 79th birthday of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Atiku serves as VP under President Olusegun Obasanjo from 1999 to 2007, emerging as Nigeria's longest-serving politicians, holding several roles in service of the nation. Well, Atiku's career began in the Nigeria Customs Service, where he spent 2 decades rising to become deputy director before fully stepping into the world of politics. His first foray into the world of politics was in the early 80s, where he worked on the governorship campaign of Mamaga Tuka, who at the time was the managing director of the Nigeria Ports Authority. He was later nominated as governor of Adamawa, but before getting sworn in, accepted the position as the running mate of the former military head of state, Olusegun Obasanjo.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Hey, from all of us at Arise News, we wish the former Vice President a very happy 79th birthday and celebrate him for his decades-long commitment to working for Nigeria. Happy birthday to the Waziri himself. Well, now, more under milestones. We remember the life and enduring legacy of Jamaican reggae icon Jimmy Cliff, who passed away on Monday at the age of 81 after suffering a seizure linked to pneumonia. Legendary musician known globally for hits like The Header, They Come, and Many Rivers to Cross, had a fascinating connection to Nigeria that shaped both his music and his perspective on Africa. Jimmy Cliff's first visit to Nigeria in the 1970s was what he described as a bittersweet experience that left an indelible mark on his artistry. Upon his arrival in Nigeria, thousands of fans packed the airport to welcome him, lining the streets all the way to his hotel. An adulation, the singer said he had only witnessed for the Beatles. However, the visit took a dark turn when a show promoter accused him of breaching a previous performance agreement in London and filed a civil suit against him. Cliff was arrested and thrown in jail, where he spent 3 nights in detention before the case went to court. When the matter was finally heard, the promoter's claim collapsed due to complete lack of evidence, and the suit was promptly dismissed. The incident was so significant that Cliff immortalized it in his 1976 single, The News, where he recounted his Nigerian detention and dismissed the allegation as lies designed to scandalize his name.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, sunshiny day.
Oh, everyone's singing. 49 years after that bittersweet Nigerian experience, Jimmy Cliff's music continues to inspire generations across the world. May his soul rest in perfect peace. I can see clearly now the rain is gone. It was such a beautiful, beautiful song. Your favorite was
Many Rivers to
Cross. Well, I wish you had more time on What's Trending. Dr. Fati, what was your favorite?
You can get it if you want.
You can get it if you want. Can I ask you, Ayo?
No, definitely.
All right, I can see clearly. Well,
and
fantastic. May his soul
Beautiful
rest
piece
in
of
peace. I'd love to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.